Hey guys and girls, I hope everyone is doing well. Very different video today. It won't be for everyone, I'll be up front, because it won't be focusing solely on retro, albeit I guess indirectly there is a retro angle to this, but it comes off the back of a video that Mark Goes Blind Gaming did in the last week or so. I'll link it below, around some I guess frustrations he's had with YouTube. That's probably putting it politely. I mean, there's some frustrations in inverted commas that have really got him questioning, from what I understand through the video, whether or not he was actually going to continue with YouTube. So, which would be a big disappointment, a big hole in the community for sure. Absolutely love his video and his content. Such a funny guy, and it's always a great watch. So fortunately, certainly for the time being, he's here to stay, and I hope that remains the case. But he was kind of going into some detail around some of these frustrations that he's faced. Things like inconsistency, copywriting, comments going missing, gremlins scattered around the YouTube application, the YouTube program. And he, at the end, it was a bit of an open, I say invite, but he kind of called me out. He mentioned me. He mentioned Gold2 Gaming and just said, look, I'll be interested to get your view, your perspective on it. So if you want to do a video response, then please do so. So this here is that video response. So I've kind of changed the title around a little bit. I think with his it was like, does YouTube suck? And I think if I'm sticking with the title that I've got on the head at the moment, it'll be the one that you'll see against this video, which is the good, the bad, and the YouTube. And I think, I know the reason for that is that, yeah, there is some shitty bits, there's some sucky bits, but for me, there are some big positives, and they net, or the net effect of those positives is the reason I'm here. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing YouTube. It's probably like, not dissimilar from most things in life. If something's causing you a bit of grief, a bit of jip, then why would you continue to do it unless you had an absolute mandate and need to do so? You've coerced into it, or you need it for pay bills, a job, or whatever. But when it's, in my opinion, and it's kind of the case for me, if it's a leisure activity, then why would you do something that overall is not a good fun experience? Otherwise, take up something else. So I'm going to go through a few topics in this video, and to set a little bit of context, the way that I'm going to talk is, I say, creator's perspective. I'm not a bloody social media. I'm certainly not an FN influencer or something like that. I'm by creator, I mean someone that uploads videos to YouTube. I'm very modest sized, as in small size channel, but I've been doing it since, or had the channel since 2006, and I believe YouTube launched in 2005. So early on, 2006, I was uploading even more, I don't know, stupider videos I'm uploading at the moment. It was mainly like holiday videos, and I was using it as a means to really share those holidays that I was having. I'm trying to pick of a Euro Disney. I went to like Euro Disney for like Halloween, and as opposed to me trying to, at the time, obviously technology has changed significantly, it was easier to send a link or have someone subscribe to my channel in the family to see what I was doing, as opposed to pay. I remember like video messages and all that. It was fucking astronomical to do that kind of stuff. So that's how it started, and it was very like, if I wasn't doing anything, nothing would get on the channel. So sometimes for months, or there's probably gaps in years where nothing got put on there. So when I then started to do, I say, YouTube, a proper link to retro, and because it was, I knew the login credentials and all that, it just made sense to pivot that channel, which had for a handful of family subscribers. I only got one sister. I've got branches of family, fairly small. So I just pivoted it basically, and I wasn't at that point. If I did have holiday pictures and stuff, I was putting them on like Clouds or Facebook or other social media to share. So I wasn't really using it. So I then pivoted to to, you know, retro gaming, and it has been, I think it's been about 4 years or so. I think feels a little bit post-COVID. It must be about like 4 years. So, and then, you know, since that time, I think I've been uploading fairly regularly. And, you know, if you look at I was doing much homework on this one, but if you look at YouTube itself, you know, the ad revenue that they gather is significant, and it went up massively around the time of COVID, and it's kind of plateaued since. But in terms of the value, in terms of the ad revenue that goes out, I think it jumped like year on year, like 20 to 29, billion pounds that was being made. So it's not, it's not a bloody insignificant amount of money that Alphabet or Google, I lose track of whoever the parent is of YouTube, is making. But with that amount of money, as a creator, and I'm probably going to go straight into it, am I seeing that amount of innovation? Where is that money, going? I'm assuming it's going into other research projects within Google, because it's not really going into some of the, the functionality that YouTube offers, because it just seems to me to be very, very samey in the time that I'm doing it. Some stuff's changed. I remember there was, messaging at one point. That's come out. Some stuff's been added in, shorts, but that's a reaction to TikTok, in my opinion, and other, Instagram, whatever they're called, story or Facebook stories, I lose track, but that feels like them just trying to compete as opposed to doing anything innovative. I don't think the platform, in my opinion, and tell me if this is the point of it, tell me if you think I'm talking bullshit, has really changed that much. Certainly, not. I mean, I've been using it pretty much since the start. I'm trying not to go too, what is it, the old proverbial, the shit sandwich with the feedback. You got your appraisal, and it's it's good at the beginning, it's good at the end, but the shit is sandwiched in the middle. I'm going to try and speak a little rounded in terms of what I'm saying. So we'll start with the positive. So the first positive, and it's going to be a really friggin' obvious one, and sometimes I say it a bit, tongue in cheek. It's all about the comments, it's all about the interaction, and it might sound a bit tongue in cheek, but genuinely that is what it is about to me. I assumed getting into the YouTube thing, particularly with the retro gaming piece, it would be one way. I'd upload a video. If I'm lucky, I'll get a view. If I'm even luckier, I'll get a comment. I'd made the assumption it was going to be a bit one way. I did not perceive it was going to be reciprocal. So get in the comments, having chats back and forth, using, like I said, you can't chat with people over YouTube outside of the comments, but it would kind of, sometimes still does prompt other chats via, WhatsApp, Instagram, or text, or whatever. And then, again, that interaction has further, jumped into, like meetups, events, doing trades, doing streams, doing collaborations, and globally, so internationally, doing stuff, being part of groups, having discussions, feedback with people all over the shop, and which is pretty impressive. It's pretty cool, and great to be part of. And it's also triggered involvement in I call them like projects, but get involved in some retro related books, magazines, featuring in indie games, crazy stuff that you never would have dreamt that would have happened. So interaction to me is where it's at. Another key positive is around learning, and without getting too cheesy on it, I do think mentally, and for me I think there's great merit in people continuing to learn and develop their their skills outside of whatever they do for work. Obviously it's pretty important for work, but outside of that, as opposed to, I don't know, just doing certain things, do things, but learn new things. So for me, when I was talking about my holiday bids, that was a straight upload. I wasn't really doing it. I wasn't doing any editing at all. But now, since doing the retro related stuff, having to learn. They're not particularly good, but I still found it, I find it enjoyable, how to edit things, how to get, several pictures on the screen, how to do an intro, how to create a little bit of a jingle and then add that to your, the video, how to record conversations that you've had with other people and then get that in, learning not just about the IT side of things, but in the context of retro, actually learning about retro from those comments, from the chat. I love retro related games and toys, but I still know very, very little. And I think when I it's exactly bloody morbid, whenever I move on past this mortal coil, there still would have been an umpteen amount of things I never would have got in my brain, let alone retained in my brain. So I think learning about all this stuff has to be a good thing, and that's another driver for me for doing it. In turn with that, you can't, or I say you can't, for me anyway, there has been times where it has felt like work, and I haven't necessarily realised it at the time. I didn't necessarily kind of badge it as that at the time. It's very, very different from what I do in terms of my work, but the whole piece around that, almost has been times I felt I need to a bit obliged. I've done this, I've been here, I need to film that, and then I need to kind of upload stuff on a periodic basis. Otherwise, YouTube's not gonna favour me. It's not gonna do this and that. And there was, not very often, but there's been a few times where it has really been at risk of driving my, dictating my free time if I was to have let it. And I've had to remind myself a few times, look, Jesus, this is shits and giggles. This is for fun. Do not treat it like work. And I think I'd say it's not advice because it's a fairly obvious thing, but I think in the moment it's quite easy to get absorbed, pulled into it, and just think that if I don't do this, then my channel's not gonna go anywhere. I guess it depends what you want as an objective from your channel. Me, again, I'm not BSing anyone. I didn't think I'd have 10 subscribers, 100 subscribers, and now it's over 1,000 subscribers. I take most value from the exchanges that I've had, and I again, back to the editing piece, I do enjoy doing shorts, and I think the YouTube shorts have driven quite a few of those numbers. The other key component is like shout outs from, we'll say, any tuber, really giving a shout to someone in their audience that is willing to subscribe, so that, and then a bit of organic growth. But most of my jumps have been through shorts. And do they, and I don't think I can make this argument, do they actually stick and watch your main videos, your pickups, or your lengthy videos? I don't think they've got the attention span to do so. So I don't think very many would translate at all. And then you've got a set of people where they watch, but you can tell that they're not subscribed. And I think early on I still do have the pop up little bootleg John to subscribe, but and I genuinely mean it when I say it. I'd like to think, maybe I should do it more often, I thank people for subscribing, the rest of it. But earlier on, and probably up to not that long ago, it would be more of a don't forget to subscribe, and that's kind of not where I'm at now, because I'm like, I'd be more than happy if I could just retain these, in a lot of cases, friendships with people, and just do, and then I'd be more than bloody happy, even YouTube was to cap it and just say, look, that's your lot. I've made some amazing friendships, and if I could maintain them, I'd be more than happy. I really, really would. But yeah, there is a lesson there around, if it's starting to treat it like work, then perhaps it's not the right. Yeah, it's something isn't quite right. And we'll talk about that later. I think the exceptions that is if someone is starting a channel with a view to they want to make a bit of money. That controversial topic of monetization and membership and all that. We'll talk about that a little bit in a bit. But by and large, if it's shits and giggles, if it's leisure, if you're starting to feel like work, something needs to change. Take the foot off the gas. reflect on it. That'll be on my view on that one. I think for this next bit, we're going to go more into some of the issues that Mark was facing, and I know a few other people face, and I've faced them as well. But the piece around YouTube being very inconsistent. So in Mark's example, I don't think he specifically mentioned the footage, and he didn't need to mention what it was, because in some respects that's kind of irrelevant. But using material that other people are using, or being observed, you're seeing it on YouTube. However, YouTube come after you as an individual to say, look, this is copyrighted stuff, and they pull it. However, but then the other video or videos might be out there in abundance, and YouTube seemingly aren't doing much about it. That can be a big frustration. I think Mark made the point that, look, if it's other people are using it without going into a full copyright investigation or legal investigation, it's almost fair game for him to use it if it's being used. Let's say that assumption that if someone else is using it, then it should be fine. Why can't he use it? And I got to say, and I think I do apply that logic in a few cases. I'm sure that I know there have been court rulings in this space that have made YouTube more accountable for how copyrighted material is on their service. So it's not just the people uploading, them as we call it the hosts. They are now accountable legally. Certainly parts of Europe, probably. The States can be a bit more progressed with certain things, if not a bit more, I guess, fragmented across jurisdictions. But YouTube now have to be seen to be doing more. So that's certainly, and my employer, what I do is my job is a bit in the regulatory space. So I kind of see how these things come, and when you are made accountable for something, you've got to be seen to do more, and you've got to do more. So YouTube, in this case, they will be more vigilant. They'll be more risk averse. They'll be pulling more content, and they'll be more forceful in terms of how they do so. And there'll be more and more stuff lost in these these terms and conditions that, if I ever could find them, or ever could have the time to read them, they must go on for really bigger than all the religious texts combined into one. But this isn't a religious video. You get my point. And I do, because of the volume of videos that get uploaded, I do suspect that YouTube, I don't have the stats down, but it is a ridiculous amount of hours that get uploaded every minute. It's crazy. So they cannot. I'd be surprised if they've got the bandwidth to really scrutinise absolutely everything. And I know things do get screened when they upload, but are they really going to the nth degree on stuff? So I think that's driving, in my opinion, and I don't work for them, so I might be talking BS, but I think that drives inconsistency, and they are then reliant on periodic checks to stuff that's already up there. They must run refreshes on stuff. Again, in where I work, regulatory environment, refresh, it's not just a one-off. So I think there's a refresh, and then that may trigger a copyright warning, a strike, or whatever. And then the other means is for someone to come across the video, and then they report it themselves as it being copyrighted. Typically it would be the person that holds the rights for that. But I do think YouTube are getting a bit more pushy. They're not necessarily explaining why, and perhaps that is because of the scale and the size, and it's done by process and friggin' say AI. It's probably just through process and rules and things. So it's only if something escalates or there's a big old complaint, I suspect, does a human even get involved. And it sounds a bit crazy, but on a lot of occasions I look at YouTube as being a bit of Google's pet project. I know it's must be the biggest video repository that there is. It has to be, surely. But in terms of what they do with it, like we said before, do they really evolve it? No, they don't. It's like a bit of an experiment. And people talk about the algorithm, and all of that, but no one really knows what it is, and algorithms fluctuate. Not that I'm not like a fucking data miner or anything, into my management information, my MI, and all of that. But these algorithms change and they evolve, and there will be some machine learning and some AI. So what works, today, might look different from tomorrow in a year's time. There'll be a whole set of strategies which will influence, how your videos will do. And there's so many variables that you can get some guidance, I guess, by watching other videos. But do they know definitively as to what's driving what? I don't think they really do. It's more commonsensical. I would expect. But it does feel like a bit of a pet project, just in my opinion, just because there's sometimes from even a user's perspective, there's not much real interaction. It's like, here you go, here's your search engine, and then from a creator and uploading perspective, it's just kind of do your thing. Oh no, you fucked up. You're in trouble now. We're not going to tell you why. Etc. Etc. And this links to me the next piece around the guidance. In my opinion, is pretty unclear, and from YouTube, and the clarity on the rules is just it should be more transparent. And I'll give an example. Before I was going on my happy holes in the summer, a bit of a road trip, I got an email from them, and it basically said that we are removing some of the functionality on your channel, and it was almost like worded a bit like a lawyer. It was to keep our community safe. I'm going to paraphrase a little bit. We limit some of the more powerful features to channels who are built to maintain a positive channel history or provided verification. As of now, your channel doesn't have sufficient channel history. And I'll stop there. My channel has been going since 2006. I do, and I'm not embarrassed by this at all. I do pay for YouTube Premium because I hate adverts, and because I'd rather pay money towards that than have. And I do have at the moment. We've got Netflix, but I used to have Netflix and Disney, Now TV, and I'd crop rotate. Sorry, they used to have all, but now I crop rotate round, so I binge watch certain ones. But the constant for me, for several years now, is YouTube Premium. I don't, I'd rather not pay it, but equally, because of the amount of time I spent watching YouTube, I'd rather pay it and just not deal with the adverts. So they're holding information on me about that as well, particularly when it's linked to the point they're saying around have provided verification. I mean, they take money from me. They've got my bank account details to draw that money out. They've got my, my name. I must have my date of birth whenever I, registered. They'll have my address details because that's linked to, my payment details, and payment authorization in the UK. You always you have to have your, and I know this because it's kind of is one of my areas of got more experience in that part of it when it comes to payments. Your address details are pretty paramount to that, payment going through. So that was, and then there was the impact of this email anyway was, I couldn't pin comments, I couldn't embed external links, URLs in my video descriptions. There was going to be limitations on video uploads, on short uploads, and to restore access, to provide, to kind of build what I needed to do, build positive channel history by following our community guidelines. What the fuck does that even, and I genuinely, and I don't think this day, I've never in my eyes flaunted, or if that was a word, I've never intentionally kind of broken them. And we'll come on in a sec, but in terms of stuff I upload that's copyrighted, that is always picked up when I upload it. Probably answering Mark's question, answering that. So it's always picked up, and it would say two things. It will either say you can't upload it because it's copyrighted, or it will say you can upload it, but if hypothetically, because I'm not monetized, if I was monetized, any money that I'd make would go to the copyright owner, which is more than that is friggin' fair game. That is that's fairly standard legal practice to do that. So yeah, if I ever uploaded dodge stuff or say it's like pull the video, do that, but they've never done that. There's upload times have been things where it's just like you can't upload this because the holder wouldn't want you to. Fine, but not having followed community guidelines is crazy. So anyway, with that one, ID verification, I just provided a bit more info, which I'm sure, I say a bit more info, I think it was info that I must have given when I did my set up the channel and the payment for YouTube Premium to get rid of the ads. So it was just pointless. And then it came back and I was just like, what the, how can anyone do anything tangible off the back of build positive channel history by following our community guidelines? Absolutely ludicrous. This one probably links back to what I was saying before, but the poor tools on YouTube, a company of that size, of that value, with those so-called geniuses, and I'm sure a lot of them are geniuses, but clearly they're working on other stuff. Why is YouTube as an engine not more intuitive, more straightforward for the user? Even things such as, and tell me if I'm doing this completely wrong, but it is Google, right? So if you want to search for a YouTube channel, unless they're like a godly channel, or if they're less godly, unless you type the channel name exactly how it is, they don't really, in my opinion, appear in the search results. I haven't done my own channel for a while, but for quite some time I had to do it exactly. If I left out the UK, it wouldn't, it would go elsewhere. There's channels that I'm subscribed to, and for whatever reason, perhaps because it's underscores or because it's all one word, I think I'll just do a search to kind of find, as opposed to scrolling through your subscriptions on the phone app, which just takes forever, unless they're like the A, B's and C's, or they've got that number start. It takes forever to scroll through. Google stroke YouTube, I'm blaming it on Google as well. I mean, how can the Google search engine be so incredible? In my opinion, it is one. I won't lie, it's kind of my default, my go-to if I want to get a bit of information. However, you want to search for something on YouTube, it's horrific. Search for a channel, be more specific. Search for a channel on YouTube, it's absolute dog shite. And there's that piece. Then there's the almost like the AI bit, machine learning. The recommendations that I get are very rarely spot on. They're typically huge channels, and I do subscribe. I'm not gonna lie, I do subscribe to some big channels, and I enjoy their content. Don't always watch all of their videos, but some of them do. It's a completely random one, but Radical Reggie, for example, I just don't watch all his vids, but I do subscribe. And quite often games that he likes, not always the case, align with what I like. So if he's talking favourably of something, then fine. It might be something I want to zoom in on a little bit. But for anyone that's more has a more typical, ordinary amount of subscribers, it is just not straightforward, and you are reliant on the network, on that recommendations from people outside of YouTube to go and find their channels and subscribe. I remember early on with mine, I've got a few people to thank, so I probably won't name names, but there was like 3 or 4 people that were instrumental in me getting from 0 to 100 in a good amount of time. And I don't necessarily think they were recommended through YouTube. They were, the recommendations they got, and then the recommendations they made were through other forms of social media. So why can't they do more? I say, why can't they do more? They don't want to do much because it back to ad revenue, and they want people drawn to big channels that people are going to watch a gazillion hours and all the rest of it. But why the hell can't they be more balanced and have maybe not, don't completely disregard them, but have some other more normal channels out there that newer curators linked to retro toys, gaming, that are something that I would want to watch. it's just a pain in the proverbial, and it therefore relies on say like goodwill, more, you know, good people in the community, you know, sharing, making their, and fortunately it does happen. People do posts, people, you know, do shout outs in videos, but without that, if you were to rely on YouTube, you wouldn't, you know, we wouldn't know a lot of each other, I don't think. And so yeah, it's a bit of a whinge about that. Other things, and I've got don't hate me on it, but I've always been a bit of an Apple person, because I mean, through work and stuff like, I haven't got one at the moment, but I was using a bit of an iMac. I did have an iPod before. I'm a bit in the Apple, say a little bit, I'm very much in that kind of Apple bubble. So you're almost you get to a point where it's just like you have to get another Apple thing if you're going to avail yourself to most of the functionality. I'm too far in, I'll leave it like that. I'm too bloody far in, and therefore my wife is, and then my family, you know, Apple TV and all this kind of stuff's in the set-top box. But when I use, and I don't know if it's different from the Android version, and maybe the Android one is better because that's Google and Google's linked to YouTube. I don't know. Tell me if it is, or if it's just the same. But if I reply to a message on comments, so I say I leave a message, and then on someone's video, that person replies, and then I then leave a further message, unless I click in exactly the right space, I always get like this error message saying, oh, you can't do this, so I then have to I just cut them. I don't retype it, I cut the message, I kind of rejiggle it, and eventually it goes. But it's just like, what the hell is that about? Can't I, you know, you're on Facebook, you want to reply to a thread of stuff, it just does it, right? It doesn't kind of screw you along. Inevitably, this will happen whenever I'm watching videos. That piece, downloading videos onto my phone, do it fine on my laptop, or, you know, I don't really use like a desktop. I'm assuming that would be fine because it's the that version of the application. However, through the mobile app and I'm talking about YouTube Studio, I download, I always get an error. Always get an error message on my phone. Can't be done. I can't remember exactly what it is. Can't be done at this time. But it can't be done at any bloody time. And then again, probably getting a bit petty, but, you know, shorts, YouTube Shorts. Once you've sorted your thumbnail, you can't go back. You can't change it, and you can't hover over. You can't design a thumbnail for a short and upload it. Not that I'm aware. Anyway, maybe you bloody can if you do it by your desktop. I'm talking BS. But say you can scroll through your video and then just pick a moment that you want to be the thumbnail, which is what I do for YouTube Shorts. If you forget to do that when you're uploading, I don't think you can go back in and change it like you can on a video. So if you make that mistake and you've edited it a bit, you might have added some text, you might have added some music, you're just scuppered really, and you're just like, I've just not wasting my time, but you haven't put out what you intended to really put out. Maybe that's just me rushing, and I should pay more attention, but to not be able to go in and edit. So it's probably, like I say, maybe I'm nitpicking, but there's some bits like that, a bit pants, removing of the messages. I mean, that happened a while ago. I'm assuming that is because they want to encourage public comments and therefore draw more people, more focus on the videos as opposed to stuff happening in the virtual corridors of one-to-one discussions. And the final piece, and I'd tread carefully. I'll be honest and give my. I'll talk a little bit about monetization and membership. So as I've said, I think a few times now, I don't monetize. Not my intention. And, you know, genuinely do it for shits and giggles, and you hold me to that. However, I don't know what I call it, as an observer of other channels, personally, I cannot see any issue with the monetization element. You know, YouTube, if someone's going to go crazy and they monetize, and I haven't done it because I'm not monetized, but I'm assuming you can overlay more ads, because I can see ads anyway if I wasn't part of the premium service. If people are going to be knobs with ads, then surely that's going to drive people away from their channel, and it's going to fall foul. But I haven't really got any issues with, and I don't know who's monetized and who isn't. Is there a way of saying if someone doesn't mention? I don't know, but even if there isn't, it doesn't matter to me, because I'm doing the premium piece. But the principle of monetization, if YouTube are going to take 100% cut of stuff, and then someone's of a certain size, then what's wrong? And then the money is coming from the company that's paying YouTube for the ad. In my opinion, a good person, a good proletarian, a good pro, getting a cut of some huge corporate spoils that they would have got 100% of, a little bit of that. To me, I think that's fair, and I can't really see an issue with that. You might have different views, you might hate on me for it, but that's just how I feel about it. Just saying how it is. However, memberships is where it gets increasingly more divisive. And this video is a critique of YouTube tools, as opposed to, I guess, how people choose to implement them. So I'm not going to dig massively into it. I think what I would say is that everyone can make their own decision on what to watch. Everyone can make their own bloody decision if they want to subscribe or not subscribe. Anyone can make a decision, if they want to be a member. Anyone can make a decision if you want to support a red team or a fucking blue team. Do what you want to do. I do, however, think that YouTube could provide more help for people that may want to go down the membership route or are going down the membership route. Help, guidance on how to use it, how to deploy it. I know on Instagram you can have two. I've been doing Instagram longer, but again, it's not monetized. But on there, they are a bit more open in terms of guidance, and you have two account types. I don't know what it's called, but it's almost as the hobbyist one, shits and giggles, that's me, and like a professional one. But I think YouTube could do a better job at doing that stuff, perhaps from the start. I know it's a bit tricky, but I'm just thinking a little bit on the spot. But perhaps from the start, when someone sets up an account, they should have a view then as to, look, is this a businessy, is that monetized thing that ultimately they want money from, or is it leisure time? Is it shits and giggles? Maybe that's how it should be looked at. Because at the moment, again, from uploading, they throw it down your face. But if you're on the Studio app, you do see you've got so many hours. If you get to here, then you can do that, and it's trying to obviously incentivize the creator, the uploader, to get to these thresholds. And then it's just, then I'm sure you'll get something along the lines of, do you want to switch it on? Do you want to do this and that? And then it's just like, let's go for it. And people don't think hard enough, I don't think, in terms of how, not all the time, but certainly it's how to deploy these things. But in a similar view to monetization and like memberships, you don't have to do it. I've done it. I haven't done memberships. I've done a Patreon, and that was for something that was linked to bricks and mortar. The business case on the Patreon was compelling enough for me to. It was only a few quid a month for a finite amount of time. I don't do it anymore, but it kind of helped. I think I helped them out a little bit. There was a benefit for me. I got a discount on certain things that I used, so I saved money. I made my money back, arguably. And I was helping out, I was helping out someone within that part of the community. So if there is a place, but no one's forcing anyone, I don't think, to be doing it. That's my views. You agree or disagree? Yeah, I kind of stand by. Like I hope everyone does. If anyone is listening or watching, stand by your own views. It's kind of is an opinion's an opinion. So that's that. And we draw it to a little bit of a summary. Mark, I hope I've covered off the points that you raised. I'm sure I've gone a bit verbose, and I probably covered bits that you didn't raise, or perhaps no one really wanted to listen to. But hopefully, someone that has a moderate amount of subscribers that's been doing YouTube, albeit in different parts of YouTube, like I said, for holidays and now kind of retro. Hopefully, it will form some kind of help. This certainly isn't a video around, get 0 to 1,000 within no time at all. This is going to be of no fucking use to you, because it took me several years, and it was through, like I say, people. It was through shout outs. It was through networking YouTube shorts. I'm not going to shy away from that. I still enjoy doing like little quick. I haven't got like, some of them haven't got much time, and if I've done something that'd be worth sharing, I do a YouTube short, and that does have an impact, because YouTube clearly at points have been trying to push what is probably one of their very few new bits of functionality out. So that was always going to help, but it hasn't helped me, getting people, a lot of those people, some, may, if you're one of them, I'm over the blooming. But I suspect that most people through the shorts, maybe they've never watched another retro ed video, or they've watched a fully fledged one and thought, fucking hell, this guy's fucking boring. Let's not bother again. But hey ho, it is what it is. But I hope it's been useful. I'm not going to tag two other people. I'll just say, because this isn't for everyone, and I'm sure there'll be quite a few people that watch my normal stuff that maybe they haven't clicked on this, or they haven't watched beyond five seconds. But if you want to do something, I'll be interested to hear your thoughts. If you want to message me outside of this, equally I'd be interested, but no pressure at all. So I'll leave it as an open thing. If you want to, please do. If you don't, then get stuck into more positive content and true retro on the YouTubes. Right, all the best. Cheers.